Good evening. In today's task, basically, we're going to learn about how we can find certain elements from within a particular string and how we can extract some specific information from within it. So, for example, a simple program is that you have a string called to be or not to be. Within this string, we need to find out few elements, right? So, those elements are that print the length of the text. So, find out how many number of characters are there in the whole string as in total. Print the first character. So whatever the first character is, let's print that. So what doesn't matter whatever it is. We want to know that whatever is the first character, let's print that. Print the last character. So whatever is the last character in the string, let's print that. And then print the position of the R key. So the first occurrence of R, wherever in the string there's a first occurrence of character R, let me know where that is. Okay, so these are few things that basically we need to do on a string along with many other things, and we need to see how we can do that. Okay, so what we do is we again go into our app. Okay, and we need to basically use the system. So I can use the same previous phone number app where I can enter a text and we can process that, and yeah, I think we can do that. I don't want to go into the whole developing a new app again. Or we can, for example, come into the last phone number app where we had done some phone number. I can go into this, right click on this package, new, and let me just create a simple empty Java class. Once you do that, it will ask you what you want to be, and for example, I can name it to be or not to be, right? So that becomes my class name. Let's finish. That's not a good class name, actually should be naming as per the functionality of the class, right? But so let me just name it that. So once we have that, we have this class. Within this class, basically we can declare a method to perform all those steps, or we can declare an public static void main and create an object. So what I do here now is that okay, yeah, that's good. Better. Let me create a method here and do all the functions, and then we will call that method in my phone number app that we developed previously, and we just execute that method again. Okay, so we will declare a method called for example, void my my parser, okay, to parse the string, something like that, and we create a simple method. Currently it has void. Void basically means it has no return type, meaning that when this method gets executed, it will not return any particular answer. It will not return anything no, it will not return any value, in other words, right? So this method will just do its task and that's it. And we won't know whether it has performed this task successfully or not, or there's an answer or any feedback or anything. This method will just go in and just do its task. So I give it a string, for example, in this case, let me give the string and its arguments. Where this we're going, a string, for example, data. Okay, so this data now needs to be performed or traversed, or certain information is to be done. Now what I can do is I can do a complex code, I can create a GUI, whatever, but again this is just a simple thing. So what I will do is I will just use system.out.println to print the output directly. Okay, so now the first thing we want is to print the length of the text. So let me just copy that string and paste it here. What happened? Didn't I copy it? Copy it and Control V. Thank you. All right. So my first task is that I need to all right. I need to print the length of the text. How do we do that? Simply go into plus. Again, this is just concatenation. I just do data. Use this variable .length length. Now .length is the length, length, length. Right. So now .length is basically a function used for strings specifically that will go inside a string, count every single character within that string, and return us the total number of characters within that string. Now always do remember that whenever we use a string, spaces are also considered as a character. So space also is a character. This space is also a character. So it will go into it and count into 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every single space would also be counted as a character and is considered as a character within the string. Space is a character. It has an ASCII code. It takes memory. However, it has no physical appearance on the screen. That's why it just appears as a blank character, in other words. So whenever we do text processing, we always have to consider that space is also a character. It has no physical appearance, but it takes and occupies memory. it has a ASCII code, and so on and so forth, right? Similarly, all these symbols are also characters, obviously. So it will go and count total number of characters within this particular string and return that number to me. So I can just simply say print the length of the text is equals to, and it will give me data.length will print that out for me. Okay, so once we have that, similarly we again go into it system.out.println, and then we will use this as, okay, I'm doing lots of typing mistakes today. Come here, double quotations, and then I will go into my string, print the first character of the text, right? So I just come here, right click and go into paste, right? So the first, the first character, right? The second point is here, the length, the first character of the text is equals to, again, plus data.length. Sorry, no. Okay, data.length gives me the length of the character. Now we need to find out that whatever string user has given me, let me know the first character. Now again, remember, lots of students do make a mistake. If a string is given to them, they just simply use plus T sign or just type in T here, right? Because they can see that it's to be or not to be. That's the string given to me. So the first character is T. This is not a correct way. I mean, this is just a hard coded way. For example, if I give something else or change the input or I change the string, how do we know that? So we use methods for that. In order to use a string, or the point of these doing this exercises is to understand how we can use different methods to perform tasks on a string. So in this case, we need to find the first character in a string. So I can simply use a method called charAt. charAt is a method that specifies or uses a index value and then returns the character at that particular index. So in our case, we used, for example, 0. Okay, 0 means, again, we always, and we have been discussing previously, that the string is always consisting of characters. Each character consists or is based on index numbers, right? So if I come back here, in other words, this to be is at 0 index, this is at 1 index, this space is at 2 index, this b is at 3 index. So each character in a string again is represented internally as an array with respect to index numbers. So Java does understand that the first character on this string is basically in a 0 index, 2nd index, 3rd index, 4th index. So when we work on index strings, we need to understand that, okay, each string is represented, each character is represented on a particular index number, a particular sequence number, in other words, right? So when we come back to our code, we basically use this thing as a main aspect of it. So we use the methods to traverse those index numbers. So all these tasks are basically allowing us to understand how we can traverse the string. So in this case, string 0 or 0 index string means that whatever character on your 0 index is, give me that character. And to do that, the method is charAt bracket index number. This is the index number. This index number will return whatever character is at that particular index number. Very simple. So at this point, it will return me the first character, because every string starts from 0, every array starts from a 0. So it must 0 is an index number. So 0 here means that return them to me the first ever character occurrence in this case, which would be T for our case. Then let me copy and paste it again. I go back into my string. Now the last character of a string. Okay, this is now getting more tricky. So what we do is we go to the first, all right, let me just use the word, the last character of the text. Now how do we find out the last character? Now this is where we do. We know that charAt is a method that returns a character at given particular index number. So if I need to find a particular character, I need to find its index number. So if I give it 0, that's the first index. To find the last character number, I need to know the index number of the last character. That index can be 10, that index can be 200, or it can be 2000. I don't know how big a string is given to me. It can be a single word containing a 5 index, or it can be a 500 words. Understand? So basically, we need to make it more dynamic. How do we do that? We simply use another method called data.length. We have already used that. What's data.length? Data.length basically is a function that returns the total number of characters in my string. So starting from 0 to the last character, it counts every single character and returns to me the total number of characters. Total number means, for example, if my string has 5 characters, it would return 5 characters to me. Hence, I have my number, and hence I have my the last character index. So the last character index should be length. But there's a problem here. There's a trick here. If I use this length as it is right now, it will give me an error. The error would be that it is simply a problem that my number are not valid, or it would give me an index out of bound array index out of bound error. For example, let me give a word here, right? We know that once we write a word, this would be at 0 index, then 1 index, then 2 index, then 3 index. Okay, 0, 1, 2. Let me space that out so we can understand this better. When we write string, within our string, this is my string, one word, right? This is my string. Inside the string, each character is mapped on an index. So W is on 0 index, 0 is on 1 index, 2 is on 3, R is on 2 index, word is on 3 index. When I use the method called, for example, length, 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 this would return 4 for me, obviously, because length counts the number of characters in a string, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it returns 4 to me. Now again, follow me here correctly. When we check the index, the last index number is 3. However, when we check the length is the 4 number. How is that? These two numbers differ with each other. These two numbers are different. The index number starts from 0. It starts from the 0th character. Then 1, then 2, then 3. This becomes 4. However, when we count the length only counts the number of total characters, which is RWORD, 4 words. So that is why it is a different number. So if I've said find me the length, the number is 4, the last index would be 4 minus 1. In other words, the last index would be length minus 1. This would actually give me 3. That would tell me that this is the last index number. If I just use length function here in my code, this would give me total number of characters. That's correct. However, I need to find the last index. Last index means the index of the last character, which is actually 1 minus length, which is always 1 less than length. That is why if we use loops, we use a less than condition. If we use such type of code where we need to find the index of the last character, we basically use length minus 1. Again, simply speaking, index number always starts from 0. So, and the length actually counts the number of characters. So 0, 1, 2, 3, these becomes basically 4 total number characters. So if you find length, you will get 4. If you find the total number of characters, it's 4. However, the index number of the last character would be 3 because it starts from 0. Hopefully it makes a little bit sense. That's why we come here and we give a length minus 1. Now what we have done here, we have used the double functions within the code. First, we did data.length minus 1. This will return the last index of my string, last index number of a character within a string. Then that thing is passed inside another method called charAt. Alright, so this is called a double function. So within a function, we passed another function. What happens here is that the first these methods get executed. Whatever value comes in, it is returned to this charAt, and that the charAt will use that value and give me an answer, which is then returned to the system.out.println, this plus sign here. So we have a method system.out.println. Within that, we used a charAt method that finds the character. Within that charAt, we used a length method. So it's like a hierarchical thing. Whatever is at the end, at the bottom index will execute the first. So basically, data length is at the bottom of this hierarchy, gets executed first, then charAt, then system.out.println, because the system.out.println needs to execute charAt.length. charAt.length needs to execute data.length to know the value, so this can be executed. So this gets executed first, this gets executed second, then this gets executed third. Hopefully that makes a sense. So what this will do is this will give us the last character within that particular text. Hopefully that should solve that problem. Then we come back into my code. print the position of text R. Let me just test these codes here up till now. Then we go into using another method called indexOf to find that value. Now, once we have this code is done. Because we are directly printing the values within this method, we have not used any return type. Now, I can use public static void main in here, or I can, and to execute it, I can do that. Let me show you how I can do that. So, for example, I can use public static void main and string AR, right? That should do the trick. Okay, sorry, curly braces and string AR. Okay, once I have that, now this is a public static void main method we have talked about previously. Because this is a static and public method, I cannot directly call this variable or this method inside my code. In order to do that, I need to create an object of this class. So, to be or not to be. TB is equal to new to be or not to be. Now you see we should have given an easier name. To be, I think I've done some spelling mistake, have I or not? TOBEORNOTTO and alright, see this E is capital at the end. This E is capital, that's why it's not taking that. So make sure your names are exactly as same as the names that you have given. So okay, so we have given it to be or not to be, exactly capital E, depends on what your name you give. So whatever name is your class name, we give that name. Variable name can be any name as follows the variable name rules within Java. Then new variable specifies that you want to create a new object. To be or not to be within parentheses is basically the call to the default constructor. So we are calling the default constructor to create a new object of this particular class, assign that object to this variable. Once this object is created, then we use this object, refer it to and call my parser method, and obviously it needs the string, so that string can be to be or not to be with a some exclamation mark. That should do the trick. So we have a method available here. Okay, so this is how we do in NetBeans, or in the other word, we created a method, it performs a certain task. Within public static void main, we create an object of that class and we use that method to create and execute that string. Now the advantage is that I can create many other objects. I can use this method to call this my parser method multiple times and give it a different string. Every time it does, it will go into it, and this is test string. Okay, and let me just change this T to my test string, right? So you can pass any test string to that. So one object is there, I can use this method again and again with the same object, or I can create another object and do the same process again. That's what basically Java allows us to do. So you can do that, or you can create this code inside a GUI, or go back into GUI within the back button, click on that, and that button should perform the task. We have done similar things previously, and we will be doing more things as we go along. So, but I don't want to create a GUI, so I just went into here, right click, and I can say run the file. Once I do that, come on. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the length of the text is 19 strings. The first character is T, the last character is the exclamation mark. The second string, the length of the text is 15 characters. Again, space is counting. The first character is M, which is actually M, and the last character is G. Yeah, see? This is what we basically are able to do. So we use the function .length that finds the length of the string character at a character at any particular given string, and then data.length will give me the right data length, right? And then we pass that length character to the string. Finally, what we do is we use, Control Z, system.out.println, and let me use the final thing, right? The final thing is the position of text R in the string. So I come here, right click, and paste this code here. Okay, and the position of the string within this would be, how do we do that? Okay, now it says the position of the string. Now position means we need again to use something called method called indexOf, right? Sorry. Now character at takes an index number and finds the character at it. Okay, it's like a searching method that searches for a particular character within a given string. So you specify the number and it will return a character. So you find at 4 index, we give it a 4 as a number, and whatever character is at that 4 index, it will return that number for you. However, if you don't know the index of a number, but you know the character, in our case R, we want to find where this R is located in the string. Alright, so this is our search query. We need to find that we have a string and there's a character called R inside it. We need to find where that is. So we go into our string, use a dot, and then there's a method called indexOf. Alright, and you can see there are various versions of indexOf. indexOf is string, and we give it a particular string, and it will try to go and find that string within my character. indexOf R will try to go and find an index of that particular integer number. indexOf character string I or string integer, which basically means we search for this string starting from this particular character and starting and ending locations, right? So there are different 4 versions that we use for indexOf method. In our case, I would simply use indexOf and brackets. If I can remember correctly, I can use the character R, press space, right? So what I did now is that I used, and obviously we're missing the plus sign. Always remember, when we use a string array, string within a system.out.println, this is inverted quotations start, inverted quotations end. Then we use a plus sign to concatenate whatever the answer is coming from this particular value. So now I'll give it a character. What Java will do is look into that character, convert it into integer, and find a relevant ASCII code for that and print for us that string. So once I have that, I save it, right click, go into it and run the file. Fingers crossed, I think I should get this. There we go. All right. In fact, if I go into it, give it an equal sign plus and then rerun it to get a better answer, run the file. Yep. All right. So for the position of R in the string is 7. Now this basically means I give it a character R, that's data, go inside the data, dot indexOf. It's indexOf a method that searches for a particular character in a string and returns the index number, that wherever is that string in that wherever is that character within that string. So I said find the R in that string. So it went into that string and looked for R, and wherever the index number is, it returned that index number for us. And where is my output gone? Where is my output gone? Where is my output window gone? I don't know where is the output window gone. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Let me just print it. Okay. So in first string, the index is at R is at 7 index. Then the second string, the R is at 11 index. Okay. So this is basically what we do. So a very simple task using 2-3 simple functions. Length gives me the length of the function. charAt finds the character at a particular index. indexOf finds a particular character at a given index. Sorry, finds the index of a particular character. Alright. So charAt and indexOf are 2 vice versa methods. We use these 2 methods to find particular things in a string depending on what kind of input you have. So if you have an index number, you want to see which character is at that index number, we use charAt. But if you have a character and you want to know where that character is in that index, you use indexOf. Right? So these 2 are basically reciprocal of each other depending on what you want to do. indexOf is a very, very, very cool method that allows us to find a particular character's index number. Okay, and future tasks will allow us to use these 2 methods regularly, and we will do more tasks with that. Okay, hopefully you understand that this is a very simple task. I will put this question inside the description as well. Thank you very much for watching. If you have for the first time, please do leave your comments and feedback behind, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much. This is Dr. Chanbati. See you around.